Sustainability is an attitude and a way of life. My guest today took this to heart when she and her family decided to walk their talk and become more conscious about what they were doing for Mother Earth. They started with a piece of land that used to be a quarry. 17 years later, they developed it into an ecologically sound farm with fruits and vegetables. They even started a cafe. More than just doing it on their own, they encourage locals to rethink the consumerist lifestyle for something more sustainable. Hello and welcome to Season 5 of the Womenpreneur Asia podcast, and I'm your host, Krista Good. My mission is to uncover the stories and strategies of Asian women entrepreneurs in Asia to help you as you navigate your own business journey. This episode is brought to you by Redbox Studio. If you want to be kept updated on new episodes, join my email list that you can find on womenpreneurasia.com. Today's episode is with an entrepreneur from Malaysia, Kaniza Shafie. She's the co-founder of Kebun Kota in Kuantan, Pahang. She's also an architect and mother of 5. We started by talking about her farm, Kebun Kota, which supplies her cafe named Roots. She believes that micro-farming and smart farming are the way of the future. But more than that, we also spoke about women, technology, intentionality, learning how to say no, being true to ourselves, and getting back to the core of our humanity. Let's jump in. Hello, Kaniza. Welcome to Womenpreneur Asia. How are you?
Fine. It's fantastic because I'm keeping myself busy. There's so many things for me to do. And keeps me going and it's very exciting. I find it very exciting. Yeah.
Where are you today? Where's your exact location?
I am at home. I left the office at lunchtime because normally it's my cafe off day on Monday. But Monday is my day to sort out paperwork at the office. So I will go in the office because I'm not in the office more of the time. There will be tons of things to write and people walk in and out of the room that I'm in. So I said, okay, this one I have to leave the office in order for me to talk for 1 hour uninterrupted.
And which city are you located?
I'm in Kuantan, on the East Coast. It's the biggest city on the East Coast of Peninsular Malaysia.
And so, Kaniza, you were talking about businesses rather than business. So now is a good time to introduce yourself and what you do in all your businesses.
I'm trained as an architect and I am a professional architect. But at the same time, husbands and engineers, so we have been running a ring-based petrochemical-related, oil and gas-related company for the past 32 years. So I'm also a director of that company. And basically, I'm managing director of that company, managing all the business aspect of it. And we've also got property development company. And of course, our pet project now is Kebun Kota, whereby we started it as a CSR for our main company, Intergranite, the construction and the petrochemical company. But somehow over the years, it has gone and developed its own character. So it's developed into a separate entity on its own. And I have my architectural practice as well. So there you go.
What a busy woman you are.
Well, I am busy and I think it's a good thing. At my age, I'm going to be 58 soon. And all my children are all grown up and they have their own life. They don't want their mother to be asking them what they're doing all day. And I have grandchildren. Instead of not knowing what to do every day, I'm happy that I'm busy.
And you sound like a very fulfilled person too, besides being busy.
Yeah. I get to, at this point of my life, I get to do what I want to do. That is the key things that motivates me because I get to pick what I want to do, the way I want to do it. I have enough experience and seniority, for that matter, to basically say, okay, let's do it this way. And I can back it up with the experience that I have and the knowledge that I have for others to say, okay, maybe that's the way to go. So that's why I find it very, very exciting. I feel enough time to say, oh, we don't do it that way because I know in what year I've done that, I've tried that, but it didn't work. Perhaps we can do it that way, but we have to modify it slightly. So that's why I think it's very, very exciting time for me.
Yeah. And I can sense that you're very excited with all the things that you're doing right now. So one of the things you mentioned just now was Kebun Kota. And I think that really is something that's really close to your heart. And of course, the cafe.
It is.
So could you elaborate how that started?
It started in 2006 when my husband inherited the land in 2004 after when his father passed away, and then the whole process of subdividing the land into all the siblings and whatnot. So he inherited this little piece of the land, 14 acres, which has water at the foot of the hill, and it's nothing but rock because the land used to be a quarry. So by 2006, we decided, okay, we sat around thinking what to do with the land. Developing it, of course, is always an option because the background of what we do is something that if we say we want to go into development, property development, it comes naturally. But we feel that there are better ways of addressing and leaving a different type of legacy to our children and doing something that is more fulfilling instead of focusing on the profit in doing business. And I remember watching The Inconvenient Truth with my family. That somehow triggered deep in us that we have to look at the issue of climate change way back then in a serious way. How to protect ourselves and our well-being in the event that whatever that was said back then comes into reality. And sure enough, everybody is talking about climate change now. It was a long process for us to get going because being at quarry, it was basically a brownfield. There's a lot of waste and whatnot, and the water was very polluted. It took us a year to clean the water. And then being privately funded, we have to slowly clean and build the place over the year. And this year is our 17th year of doing it. And to us, it's heaven on earth.
And what do you do in Kebun Kota now that you have turned it from a brownfield into something that's thriving and flourishing?
The biggest achievement for us is reviving the ecology system of the place. Helping the area to repair itself, meaning that after the quarry process, you have to strip the topsoil to get to the rock. So over the years, from 1960s until we start working on it, the part that's exposed of that land is just rock. So nothing can live, but there are water bodies everywhere. So we feel that if we work on that and we can turn back the clock for that area in a way, that would be a great thing to do. And we did that. We cleaned the water and things start to come alive, basically, on its own. And on top of that, we practice permaculture. We try to build the biodiversity of the place by having different types of plants, fruit trees, and herbs. I've always been interested in herbs because I think not enough knowledge is available out there. And I come from a kampung, eating herbs and mixing with what we eat every day. It used to be the norm, but not anymore. So I've always been interested in that. So we built on that. We have those that where the earth landed. We start growing fruit trees, herb plants, and then things that we can harvest and for our own consumption to begin with. And where there's water, we turn into aquaponic system, which is, to me, the future of farming. And we have a 4 acre of aquaponic system at the farm now. So that is the thing that we're doing currently. Yeah.
So where you rear fish in the water?
Yes, we rear fish, and it's a symbiotic system where you rear fish and the water in the fish area, it has to be clean because when you throw food to the fish, some of it is not consumed. So it becomes waste and the fish itself produces waste. So how do you clean the water? In a normal aquarium, you have a filter bed, filter system to clean the water for the fish. But in this case, the filter bed is actually a grow bed for plants. So what the plant does with the help of the good bacteria, it will break down all the waste to turn into nutrition or nutrient for the plant, and it will absorb it, at the same time clean the water, and then the clean water goes back to the fish. So that cycle continue on its own. That's how nature operates. And so we basically imitating nature and how to sustain ourselves by looking at how nature works, how nature cleans itself. That's what we're doing.
And how did an architect learn all that? I know you
I
said
actually-
you like herbs and plants, but I'm sure that this is not something that you just know. There's lots of things to be read up on.
Yeah, I read about it and I went on a long distance or online class, get to be a certified aquaponic designer. Not coming from engineering background, but my advantage is I have an engineer husband, so he helped me with all the technical things, including the pump size, the rate of flows and all that. I took the course and I got a certificate for that. And from there, it's like built itself, because systems, when you learn something at the beginning, it's always change and you can actually modify it to suit your location. So that's what we've been doing over the years. Yeah, I did my course in 2013.
So you were really preparing for Kebun Kota in so many ways.
Yeah. The future of everything, it has to be knowledge-based. We have to be more efficient as the population of the world grows. Efficiency is the key word to me in terms of how we utilize the water, how we utilize all the resources that is available for us currently. We have to do and use it efficiently. And that cannot be done by guessing. Optimization to utilize something, it has to be based on knowledge. 1 cubic meter of this will produce how many cubic meter of food or how many kilos of fish. There are a lot of knowledge out there that we can actually learn and be efficient about it. So when we talk about farming, we don't have to talk about acres anymore. We can talk in terms of square meters, we can talk in terms of square feet, which the yield is high, is sufficient for a family to consume. So this is what I'm looking at. I'm keen on that. That is the architect training in me, because I've been trained to see things in sizes, where three-dimensional and whatnot. So I look at things in that manner. I break it down into smaller packages. If, let's say, I have a front garden of 20 square feet, what can I produce? Rather than looking at 20 acres, I'm not really keen on big scales of farming, because I think a lot of big companies are already doing that. I'm more keen on looking at how, as is condition with people with landed property or in strata title apartments, can produce their own food. So I have to calculate that in terms of square feet or square meters. Yeah. So we're kind of looking at micro farming.
So it's all this training as an architect, and that your husband is an engineer who has his input on all the mechanical and engineering parts of the farm. Yeah. And then I know that also the cafe, as well as all the other things you're doing in your life, also tie in with this concept of sustainability that you spoke about just now.
Yeah.
That really you have this passion for sustainability.
Yeah. This is going back to how I grew up. My father had a 1 acre piece of land that belongs to his late mother, was transferred to him. And on that piece of land, we have coconut trees, we have all sorts of things. We grow things that we need around that 1 acre plot where the house is. So food, even though we don't have that much additional cash, but food was never an issue to us. So to me, to address the issue of food security, we have to look at that in that manner. Ability to produce part of what we need to consume, rather than saying, hey, let's go and do farming, so we be more secure. My calculation is based on, if I can produce 50% of what I need and I only purchase 30%, that contributes to my food security. So I would like others to think the same, but talking alone will not sell the idea. I have to do it myself. For example, today we harvested 60 kilos of roselle. The post-harvest activity stays within the farm because we want to cut down the footprints of our food. We produce jam, syrup for our drinks, dry tea leaf petals. We caramelize some of the petal for our granola. So all the products that is harvested, it doesn't go to waste because it doesn't wait for third party to come or middlemen to come and buy from us. And we get to add value to our produce without having to invest in so much of machineries or anything like that. To produce, for example, tea from roselle, I just need to put under the sun. And when it's raining, we have some shaded area that still allow the sun, but not the rain. So this one, I think almost everybody can do that. You're not looking to buy expensive machinery. So these to me can exhibit, look, we can do this. We really, really can do this if we put a little bit of effort. And I'm actually quite surprised at the amount of products that we can get out of the 14 acres of farm that we have. I'm not a farmer, as you're well aware. And I don't really have this preset idea of, oh, you have 1 acre, you can produce 20 ton, 30 ton, 3 tons. So I don't have that kind of numbers in my head. So, but most of the time when we harvest something, whether it's our pineapple, whether it's our mango and whatnot, we end up with so much, it's quite overwhelming in a way. Because I say, okay, what do we do next? So what we've done, we invested in a big freezer, a walk-in freezer and walk-in chiller. So we process whatever that we produce into some form of pulp, something that can be chilled or frozen. So nothing goes to waste. And the fact that we are small, every harvest is manageable. For example, today, 60 kilos, something that 2 people can. So this, to me, going small, staying small is the best way forward.
In your own way, you're helping people see that micro farming is possible, right? Without needing a huge piece of land or producing lots and lots based on all the crops that you grow in Kebun Kota. Now let's talk about the business side of things. How you transform those crops into products that you are now selling at your cafe?
Okay, I do it 2 ways. One is the direct fresh produce that I either harvest every day in the morning, especially the herbs for my nasi ulam, or something that I can harvest a day before. For example, cucumber, papaya, some of the fruits, sometimes when we have a lot of tomatoes, we can harvest because these things last more than a day, so I can keep them. But herbs is something that I have to keep it fresh. I harvest every morning. My reason for doing this is to cut the middle person. So the concept of farm to table, where I produce and I prepare, I cook it myself and then serve it to the customer, so they really get fresh food. I can tell the customer, look, these are traceable food. I can tell you exactly where it comes from and when it arrives at the cafe. That is another thing that I want to emphasize about food traceability. We must know and we should know where the things that we eat comes from. By doing it this way, by cutting the middleman in most of the product that I serve, give me a better margin and reduce the wastage at the cafe itself, because I only harvest what I need. When you buy from shops, normally for economy of scale, you have to buy them in bundle, especially if you are a cafe. To get it cheaper, normally you have to buy bulk. For dry things, it's fine, but for things that is perishable items, then the tendency to buy bulk because it's cheaper per kilo, for example, is there. But sometimes it doesn't last that long, so we end up throwing a lot of it And these will just add up to food wastage. And our country throw away so much food every day. So these are small steps that, to me, very important in our practice. We have to be wholesome, to look at everything that we do to not contribute to the problem that we are currently facing about the waste that we generate, the pollution that's happening to the ground due to farming activities. So we try to address all this in our practice.
You're an architect. You train as an architect. So you don't have a background in F&B. How has that helped you in terms of setting up a food business, like a cafe?
Well, there is a positive aspect of that. I think not having the background of an MB, I come from a large family, so my parents, especially when I was younger, entertain a lot. So cooking for 20, 100, 200 people is something that happens regularly. So I have always been involved in that. So I said, okay, let's do it that way. Let's do it as if I'm at home, cooking for guests that's coming to the house and treating them as guests. And doing my kitchen as such. And without this pressure to invest highly in commercial kitchen and all that, because I wasn't sure whether it's going to be a success or not. So I don't really want to throw in my money and not knowing what's going to happen next. And so far it works. It works in the sense that I can manage the kitchen the way, for me, as the main person who does the cooking, wants it. In the future, I suppose if my children were to take over, they probably want to do it differently. But as for now, home kitchen is a good kitchen for the cafe.
How do you actually manage to juggle cooking at the cafe and managing your other business?
I live in Kuantan. So Kuantan, there's no such thing as traffic jam for me. I get from my home to where I want to work within 10 minutes. And being at my age, I wake up very early. And I do have helpers, very capable helpers that's been with me for many years. So there are things that I don't have to explain to them for them to get things done. So without them, I don't think I could have done it. And the farm is managed by my husband. He's the key person there, so I don't really have to worry about it. All I need to do before we leave home, I will tell him, look, I need this much, do you have this? Can the people at the farm harvest it for me? And he'll get it done and get somebody to send it to the cafe. So I handle the kitchen. And then my office is most of the time in the cafe itself, or I go walk next door to go to the office. So everything has been designed in such a way that I don't have to drive far, or I don't have to drive at all to do all these many jobs that I'm currently doing. Even the houses that we are currently building is just at the back of Roots, the cafe, which I can walk to the site, to do my inspection. It was planned in such a way. I would not have done it if I have to travel. There are jobs that's been offered to me as an architect which requires me to travel. I decline because that doesn't fit into my mapping of how I should do, how I should travel, how I should utilize my time. I stay true to the plan that I have, that no matter how tempting it is, but so long it doesn't fit into that traveling mapping that I have, then I have to let go.
Which is great, because I think you'll be very intentional about your business and the farm and your other business.
To me, learning to say no is not a cliche, it's a necessity. If you really want to get things that is important to you and the top of your priority list done, we have to learn to sort out everything and saying no to things that may interrupt that plan that we have. So I have been very focused on that. Whoever comes to me and say, okay, so long that you want to work and it's within this area that I'm doing, I'm fine. I'm more than happy to accommodate. But beyond that, I have to say no, because it's very difficult for me to keep the promise.
I find that a lot of people out there, and myself included, sometimes we struggle with it. It's hard, right? Because so many things come at you in a day.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard. But going again to what are my priorities in my life now? First, on top of my priority is not actually my work, it's my health. I'm approaching 60. I'm 58. In 2 years, I'll be 60. In Malaysia, there is a retirement age, Average age of a Malaysian is 78. So taking that into account, I probably have another 20 years if I stay healthy. That 20 years must be a good 20 years for me. I want it to be a good 20 years. I want to be able to be helped to travel. I want to be able to continue doing what I'm doing. And to protect that, I have to pace myself based on what I'm capable of doing, not by what others dictate that I should do. So I really have to learn what makes me happy and that keeps me going, and what makes me tired, that drains me. I have to let that go. So that, I suppose, it comes with age and knowing yourself and putting priority. We are always driven by the excitement of doing new things, and then sometimes the profit or the remuneration that comes with that is being human. That is being, if you are capable of doing that, why not? But to me, I have to always weigh, is this going to drain me up and then weaken me as physically? If it's not, then okay. If it is, then it's definitely a no. Traveling at my age is very taxing. I can be standing up the whole day at the cafe and doing things, I'm fine. But the moment I have to travel long distance and sitting in a car, and then somehow, it makes me feel very lethargic towards the end of the day. So I know that is something that I don't want to put myself into. That is part of the reason why I'm very firm on deciding what works and what doesn't work for me.
Great way of putting into perspective, especially the part about what drains you. Because a lot of times when we make decisions, we don't think about that. We just think about, okay, that's this shiny new object syndrome, right? That we are so excited about, but we forget that perhaps it could be draining when we are in that project or in that thing that we want to do.
Yeah. And most of the time, it's not so much the work, it's the people that you have to interface.
Yeah.
I'm very particular about it now because I know there are certain people, even though people that I've known for a long time, that I will not want to work with because we are of different wavelength, we are of different field totally, and we can never come to a place where we are basically standing on a level field and seeing things as we should be seeing things, Both, I can be very stubborn as well. So I know it's best to say no in that occasion because the work may not be that difficult, but the people that is going to be involved will be difficult. So even then, I will still say no.
If you could do it all over again, what would you do differently?
Nothing. Seriously. Not that I've not failed. I failed on many things, but that these things only teach me of not what to do. And whether it's professionally, personally, and whatnot, there are many, many things that looking back, I say, oh, maybe I could have done that. We always go through that kind of process. But I think I didn't get where I am today without all those experiences that I have gone through to make who I am. If I were to go back and change things, maybe I won't be here today. I won't be looking at things the way I'm looking at things now. Yeah.
In terms of having this business that centers around sustainability, what are some of your plans for the future?
Educating my staff, first of all, to get into themselves and to do every day. That is the toughest part at the cafe. Because we all, even though we are at the same place, we go back to a different house, we come from a different background. Some things that matter to me may not matter that much to them. My priority above the food and whatnot is cleanliness. I want my toilet to be clean all the time, and I would like all the waste in the cafe to be sorted out. And it's a daily chore that I have to keep telling them, look, that plastic bag can you put in the bin where it labels plastic there, and that piece of waste paper can you put in the bin that label paper. People do things without thinking. So to me, we have to handle that mindset change. That's why our tagline at Roots is sustainability is an attitude. We have to turn this concept of living sustainably into a way of life. And that is not easy. That's one thing, hoping to change people's mindset. The other thing, I would like to get more of me, in a sense. What I mean is that people who are willing to go into these pockets of small localized farm and or food, a farm to table concept. I have a lot of people, authorities and whatnot, come and approach whether I'm willing to go to KL, I'm willing to go here, I'm willing to go there to set up all these things. I've always said no, because our concept is not to have between my family or my husband and I have 20 roots. We want 20 sets of people like us to have their own roots. Then that is sustainable. If we go out and continue building and franchising and building roots and whatnot, that is business as usual. And I think business as usual is what brought us to where we are today. So I would like to move away from that concept. I would maintain the size of what we're doing as it is now, and get other people who would like to learn from us to create their own setup where they can have their little farm and they can produce food or even generate enough for themselves and have a business on the side for that matter.
Does it mean that they would duplicate roots in terms of the concept and system that makes it sustainable? Is that what you have in mind?
Yes. They will have to adjust it to their own style of doing business or running a farm. But I truly believe that Malaysian having about 103,000 hectares of empty land or idle land that is not being used, we can have so many of these things happening all over the country that will bring benefit to our food security. We don't really have to go and have big farms everywhere. So I'm trying to promote this kind of mentality that, okay, many of us should do it, not a single or few companies producing food locally. Food security doesn't mean that we produce and open thousands of acres of new farms so we can be secure in terms of producing our own food. We can use the current available land that is not being utilized for that purpose. So yeah, it's producing more or something similar to what we're doing at Kebun Kota.
I really agree with you, because I think we have so much of resources, so much of land that we're not really utilizing them properly in the way that the land can provide for us.
Yes, and another thing is by 2030, Malaysia will have about 50% of our population will be 60 and above. That is about 5 million people. And I will be 60 in 2 years. So to me, to have a healthy life is to be able to eat well, to stay away from sugar. Why? With a good farming technology where we don't have to toil like the old days, And I think, we have sufficient amount of manpower to look into this farming. One of the projects that we're doing is using wastewater and semi-automated system on a small little compact unit that a person only need to monitor instead of having to water the plants and then just to feed the fish. Even the fish feeding can be automated. So this is something that we have to invest into a smart farming unit, and with people for retirement can eat healthy food by producing it themselves. 20 years of retirement age, or if let's say you count from 60 until you reach 78, is 18 years. It's a long time of what do we do? That's always a question. How productive can we be at that age? And the age group, the priority is about health. How do we get that? By eating healthy, by living healthy, proper exercise and whatnot. Somehow I see the future in that if we can merge these two together and really have enough knowledge, enough trainers to go into this kind of smart farming method in Malaysia.
That is definitely something that has been heightened because of the pandemic.
During the pandemic, that is the time when I realized that what we have been doing at Kebun Kota means a lot. On the 17th of March, when the government, 2020, when government announced that there's going to be a lockdown on the 18th of March, I did not panic because I have a lot of food for my family and I at the farm. So we didn't go and join the long queue of
shoppers grabbing
shoppers,
food.
Yes, at supermarkets. We didn't have to do that because we know that even if it goes on for a year, we will be okay. And at the same time, we were planting a lot of vegetables, leafy vegetables, that we couldn't sell because of the pandemic. And what we did, all 18 tons of it, we give it away. No specific group of people, just anybody in the neighborhood that wants to come and take it in front of the cafe because we had to close anyway. So we harvest what is needed that day and give it away, and the rest is kept at the farm. And to us, it's an eye-opener that, all the while we talk about it, we think it's going to happen, but when it happened, what we did was the right thing. It works.
During that time, were your farm workers still growing and harvesting all the fruits and vegetables?
Yes, they were locked up at the farm, all three of them. So what we had them doing was harvest the fish and then fillet the fish and put in the freeze it when getting ready for when we are open. Harvest the fruits, harvest the roselle, harvest the mangoes, and do all the necessary processing and either place them in the chiller or in the freezer, getting ready when the cafe is open. So I've used up all those produce that we have managed to process and freeze like last year. And we have now continued to do our production at the farm to cater for the requirement that we have at Roots. So we did not sit and do nothing. Through the whole year that the on and off of MCO, we were very productive. Yeah, we were very productive.
So here's my question, which I'm very intrigued. How do you decide what to plant in your farm?
Okay, but that we already have there, and over the years that I've been planting this, a bit of this, a bit of that, and then especially my herbs. And from there, I created the dish. And there were times when we go back to the farm to plant certain things where we feel that should be in our menu. On our menu, for example, we wanted to have avocado, but I didn't want to go and buy avocado because it is ridiculously expensive.
Yeah.
So we planted avocado. Now we have 4 avocado trees, and it started to fruit, and it's not really that good yet. It has to be probably take another year before it is, it gets into fruiting well. So we do that too. We have durian, because at one point my daughter Sarah really, really good quality durian ice cream. And then the father said, okay, let's plant durian. But durian will take a while. So hopefully when our durian starts to fruit, then that will be the raw ingredient for Sarah's ice cream. So it works both ways. Some of it that we create the menu based on what we planted there. And sometimes we start planting things because we want to do a dish based on that particular herbs or fruits that we have that we don't have at the farm.
Now we know how the menu comes about. What are some of your best sellers?
Yeah. Nasi ulam, definitely, because it's very different than the nasi ulam that's been sold elsewhere in Kuantan. Because those who tried our nasi ulam will tell you that it's very fresh and we use authentic, freshly harvested ulam for our nasi ulam. That is definitely top of the list. And on top of that, we don't fry the chicken that we serve with the ulam. With the nasi ulam, we roast the chicken to keep it healthy, because nasi ulam is supposed to be healthy, so we don't really want to add up the calorie by giving a piece of fried chicken. We also have a version of vegan nasi ulam. So the menu is designed in such a way it's Lego set. If you want it vegetarian, I can put things together as vegetarian for you. If you want it vegan, I can put all these parts together and it becomes vegan. And if you want to eat chicken with it, I can also do that for you. So that is how it works at Roots, and that's why it's quite popular. So a vegan, a vegetarian, and people who eat everything can sit at one table and they can be enjoying the same basic meal. The other thing that is very popular is our kombucha. Now we have 12 flavors. That the flavors generated from the herbs and fruits that we grow at the farm. These are the two that really doing well at our cafe. Misconception that protein only comes from chicken or fish or beef, there are plenty of proteins that can be derived from plant. So we are trying to promote more and more plant-based protein in the meal that we serve. And so far, so good. People, some of them are quite surprised when I say, why don't you try the plant-based protein, see if you like it? And they try, they say, yeah, it's as nice, as filling, as enjoyable. And they feel less guilty, the fact that they eat plants, the whole plate of food that they eat is actually all plant-based. So that is the thing that makes me wanting to do more and explore more at the cafe and gets me busy and excited all the time.
So we've talked about your cafe, your business and everything else. So a quick one we haven't talked about is about you, Kaniza. So tell us, what were you like growing up?
I grew up in Kampung Kuala Ibai in Kuala Terengganu. I'm originally from Kuala Terengganu, but I've lived in Kuantan for the past 25 years. My grandfather was a fisherman. My grandmother used to dabble in business, in selling things here and there, but she also has a paddy field that she works on. And my father was a government officer. So I grew up in this environment where we produce most of what we need, because there are 8 of us in the family, 8 siblings, there are 10 including my parents. And then another 2, of course, my grandparents were with us. So it's a big family of 12. Being a government officer, the salary is not that big, but we didn't really have problems in managing that, because most of what we need as far as food is concerned is, as far as I remember, we have our own rice. Fish is what my grandfather brought home most of the time, not all the time. And we have our own patch of vegetable plots that we take our vegetables or the ulam. So life has always been happy in that way that, we We take part in doing all the activities in preparing the padi, turn it into rice, and collecting all the vegetables, and going fishing with my grandfather. That is the happy memories that I have of childhood. And of course, being the eldest, I've always been responsible of the young ones. That is the norm in a life in a kampung. So I've always been brought up to take up responsibility of taking care of others. When I have my own family, that goes without saying, my priority was my 5 children and the well-being of my family. I took 10 years of work, not really off work, not doing work, but I worked from home. This was during the late 90s to the mid-20 year 2000 until 2005 that I worked from home. Because to me, I cannot do too many things. If the family is my priority, I need to focus and give my time on that. And then at that point of time, with 5 children schooling from secondary school to primary school, I can only focus on that. Then second only comes work. And when they start school, my youngest in 2005, Sarah start school, she was 4. Then I knew that I can get back in doing what I have been put in the back burner, building my career as an architect, and then doing other things that to me for the benefit of the family or ideas that I've had over the years. So in a way, I've always been structured in doing things that I want to do and when I want to do it, and resisting trying to do too many things. It seems that I'm doing a lot of things now, but I suppose all the experience that comes together allows me to do what I'm doing now, because the family part has really fall back to the number 3, because my children are at the age where they should be on their own. The eldest is already 33. The youngest is 21. I don't want to meddle too much in how they live their life. I think, and I hope that I've brought them up well so they can manage their life well. And if they need me, I'm always here. I want to focus on living my life again and doing what I think I should be doing. Yeah, on me. Yes, very much so. On me.
And what advice do you have for women who are also probably in business and raising a family?
To me, we live in an age where it's a lot easier to be at home with your children, to work from home or not be in the office and still able to do productive work, which I didn't really have that back in the 90s and whatnot. It was available then, but the dial-in, it was tremendous.
Yeah, so that must have been terrible.
Yeah, uploading drawing, it can take a whole day, So technology is a great asset of women of this generation. Make use of that, You don't have to forgo your career or choose between career and family. I don't think that is necessary. I think we can make it work. In doing so, we need the right tools, and the support is very important. You have to reach out. It doesn't have to be immediate family, but you have to have support, people who understand what you're trying to do and support you in pursuing that, because we live in trenches of time. If you have a family, you'll probably think that, oh my God, I have 5 kids. How long is this going to be? But hey, before I'm now living in an empty nest. And I'm still as healthy as I was, I would say, 20 years ago, if not better. So that we have to look at it as a milestone and One thing that I learned well from my husband is planning and planning ahead. He writes down everything that he wanted to do, even from the children, when the children were young. We will have a 1 year plan, 2 years, 5 year plan, and 10 years plan. The fact that we write it down, we basically hit the target because we have that at the back of our mind, the aims of what we want to achieve. And of course, there's adjustment here and there due to circumstances. But I think we need to have that, whether the plan for your children education or for yourself, you need to have a proper plan. You get to where you want to be. I think that is really necessary. It doesn't have to be a complicated thing, but you have to plan.
I think writing things down make it clearer, makes it easier for us to understand whether that is something that we want to go for.
Yes, that's true. Because we have tweaked or changed a few of the targets that we set ourselves for the better. Because then as we, over the years, we get to know ourselves better, and the environment change, the economic change. So all these play a factor, but we will not worry about that. Okay, we change, there are a few setbacks here and there, but there are advancement in a few of other fields as well. So somehow it balances itself. So we were not so worried about it. And I think being practical is very important. I, for one, do not necessarily get pulled away in what other people do, what they buy, what they wear. I've always been very stubborn in a way to stay true to what I think, how I see myself and how I want to be. I don't really measure myself so much of being pressured, you are a senior architect, you should be driving this type of car, you should be all the things that expectation of society. I don't buy into that because I think my work should speak for itself. Being presentable, yes, is very important. Other than that, I think we have to stay and be individual in our approach, especially about cars. There's a no for me.
I love that mindset. Sometimes in life, we really have to be realistic and pragmatic about things that truly matter to us.
Yeah.
And when we do know that at our core, it's so much easier to live our lives.
Exactly. That's at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, isn't it? To be comfortable in our own skin and not to be disturbed by a lot of things can happen. I mean, the world is not a perfect place, but we can make our surrounding happier if we learn to manage the disappointment that we may have along the day. There will be some disappointment. But learning to manage it is very important. And to keep our spirit up is very important. One of the books that I think that, I don't know whether I mentioned to you or not, Make Your Bed.
Mentioned that.
Yeah, I think I mentioned to you about Clayton Christensen's book, How You Measure Yourself or something like that. But one of the books that I read that I think is just a small book that is very important that we tend to overlook. Waking up and making your bed. The fundamental point that has been trying to put forward is that if you can't make your own bed when you wake up, how well do you think your day is going to turn out to be? So making your bed is something positive that, okay, I'm going to start sorting myself out. Right, the first thing I wake up in the morning is to clean up where I sleep and where I've been resting. So when I come back, it's all in good shape. I follow that rules, and to me that is important, and that's what I'm trying to teach my children, the importance of being disciplined.
I think that is the key thing also today, is that this concept of discipline is really much more needed now than it was before. Because today we have so many things. Even though some of the things are good for us, some of the things really distract us. And because they distract us, some people may not necessarily have the discipline to follow through. So it comes to something as simple as making your bed.
Exactly. That's why I find it, wow. I said, yeah. It's not that I've not been making my bed before reading the book.
Yeah.
This guy who write the book, Admiral William McRaven, he's in the army. How the discipline in the army, and it's about having the right discipline so you are in the right mindset to face the most difficult time, meaning to go to war. So you have to have that mind frame, when you are pushed to be in the most difficult situation. Where do you stand? Do you have the necessary bravery or mindset to do what you have to do? Not that I'm trying to propagate war, but we are talking about getting our mindset right to face circumstances where we are pushed to be at the worst or difficult situation. That is why, to me, discipline, as you rightly say, especially now with so much distraction, that we have to keep emphasizing to young ones, the old one as well.
Yeah.
The old people also get distracted as much with all what happens.
Not only distracted, like you said earlier, for your cafe employees, you also need them to understand this mindset of new things, new ideas. But actually not really a new idea, but sustainability has always been there. It's just that it's not lived. It's not a lived sustainability. It's more of everyone's talking about it, but nobody really knows how to do it as a lifestyle.
Exactly. It's the little things, It goes back to make your bed and then make sure you sort out your waste. Make sure you don't throw rubbish everywhere. Make sure that you don't waste your food. These are day-to-day things, really day-to-day things that we do, all of us do, that with a little bit of consciousness, we can prevent unnecessary wastage, unnecessary bad behaviors that we have had for many years of not caring for the environment. And we are paying for that, because of the attitude of, I don't care. We're paying for it now. Climate change is human-made. So we have to address that.
Yeah, that's very well said. Thank you so much, Kaniza, for talking not just about sustainability. I know we started with sustainability, but I think it really is about humanity, right?
I would think, yes, it is about us as humans. How do we live our life while we are here? It's just a short period. And that's why the book that I mentioned to you earlier, How Will You Measure Your Life, by Clayton Christensen, is one of the books that to me have a very deep meaning. How will you measure your life?
So finally, where can people find you online, or if they want to connect with you, Kaniza?
We are on Instagram and roots_Kebun Kota. We are on Facebook, Kebun Kota. We are also on Facebook as Roots by Kebun Kota. We are also on Google Maps. You can just Google us. You can get to our place quite easily. And you can also reach me on my Facebook, Kaniza Shafie. I'm quite active on Facebook and Facebook only. I limit myself. I don't go and venture into others much because it is just going to take much of my time. So that's where we are.
So thank you, Kaniza. Thank you for having this time to talk to us about what you believe strongly about and what you feel strongly about, not just for your family, but also for the coming generations, I believe. Since your kids are already going to be the coming generation to inherit the earth from all of us, I think you are setting the stage for them so that they can take over.
That's true.
So we will definitely be seeing more of you and your sustainability topics, because we've been friends for so long, Kaniza. So I haven't really visited you. I haven't visited you ever since that one time that I ended up in Kuantan. And that was like many years ago. So definitely must make a trip to Kuantan and visit Roots, because I see you're also having a lot of, I think you have a cat corner.
Yeah, I do. I have things that being painted on the wall, cats. We have also all the endangered species painted on the wall. So I just get the staff to paint it themselves.
And you also have book exchange at your
Yes,
cafe.
I do.
So you're trying your best to make it really a circular economy and no waste, no plastic, and keeping things actually much more sustainable for everyone. And you're starting with yourself and your family in Kuantan.
Yes, I am. I'm trying hard to do that. Yes. And I think people appreciate it, especially the locals that comes here. They appreciate it. That's what makes me happy every day. When I see people coming to the shop and say, "Oh, this is a great thing that you're doing here." There's a good response for me.
So thank you very much, Kaniza. Thank you so much for this time, and we'll definitely see you again.
You're most welcome. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Did you have lots of takeaways from this episode? I hope you did. I especially liked how Kaniza stays true to herself, knows what she wants, and is sure of her priorities at every stage of her life, and how she is excitedly anticipating her next 20 to 30 years. That she believes we can do our part in making our communities more sustainable, starting with micro farms, plant-based diets, and ecologically sound habits. How has this season been for you? Did you enjoy the diverse conversations across Asia? And did you realize that we've reached the 13th episode of Season 5? We will have a bonus episode next week, and it's going to be interesting as I speak to a Hawaiian entrepreneur. If you know the origin of this podcast, it started in Hawaii, and in a way, it's coming back to Hawaii. So stay tuned for next week's episode. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next Friday.